Is it on? Oh, it started over, so we'll have 2 videos. Anyway, I should have left it on so that you could hear the feedback. But anyway, um, yeah, so you could say something like, well, I worked at, you don't need to tell me like I only did this for 2 semesters. It was a high school job and all of that. Hey, you can just get right into it. So I was working, at this company for this, and he wanted me to hand out all of these brochures, and I was trying, but the people just wanted the food, and they were kind of offended and put off by the fact that I was giving them these brochures. But then I was feeling the pressure of my boss to hand these brochures out, but I knew it was something that was deterring customers. But I wanted to meet his needs, and so I came up with a really creative solution where I talked to another booth, or I don't remember if it was another booth, and they were already handing out things, and so they were willing to hand out these brochures with their pamphlets. And so I was able to get them handed out without deterring the customers. So that's a very concise way. It shows them you're creative. And so yeah, now again, when you're practicing, don't worry about being too long, but just let that be the kind of, I'm going to get it all out, all of the details out, but then I need to go through and make it concise.
Okay.
And then, so you could write it out concisely and just get the main ideas. You don't have to do word for word, but just the general concepts, and then you can practice.
Okay.
So again, I'm that kind of person too, where I'm very thorough, and when I'm telling something, I get all of these ideas. So then before I present something, I have to go through and what's most important. And so, I mean, that's a blessing because again, I am good at meeting needs, but it just takes a long time, and it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot out of me.
Yeah.
So you did a nice job asking questions. You might want to focus on, have a question that shows them that you're really interested in contributing. So I liked your questions, but you might want to say something like, what are the most pressing needs you will need someone in this position to meet that I could meet for you? Or what are the biggest challenges for people in this position that I could tackle for you if you decided to hire me? That shows you're here to solve their problems. Okay? And with the salary, do research. Now, with an internship, they probably have a standard. I'm guessing they have a standard amount. But I asked you that question so that when you do get you're interviewing for real jobs, most women make less than men because they don't negotiate. They just take whatever they're offered. And most companies assume you're going to negotiate, so they automatically will offer you something lower, assuming you're going to offer higher. Or so that if you do negotiate, they end up going where they want. So do your research and find out what they typically offer, and then give a range. So don't give an exact amount, because if you're too high, then they might rule you out. But if you're too low, then you've left money on the table. So if it was like, let's say your starting salary was $60,000, you wanted 60,000. Then you could say, I recommend putting it off until they actually offer you the job. So you could say, I'm willing to, salary is important to me, as you can guess, but I also know that benefits matter as well. If you could give me an idea of the salary and benefits package and what that looks like as a whole, I'd be able to give you a more accurate answer. So, I mean, if they haven't told you anything about benefits and salary, and if they say, well, we talk about that when we make hiring offers, you could say, well, I'm willing to entertain any reasonable offer. And so I'm happy to, I just want you to know that I really want to make contributions here. I'm willing to entertain any reasonable offer. And if you want to wait to talk about that at the interview, then it sounds like it's best to do that. Or if they have posted a range on that, you can say, I see myself, you can say, that's negotiable. I would expect to be paid for the value that I'm bringing to your organization. And if you decide you want to hire me, then let's get into the nitty gritty. Said let's get into the nitty gritties. But again, you kind of want to push that. You could say, I was hoping you could tell me what you feel I'm worth based on my skills and qualifications. You turn it back over to them. Because it's a vulnerable question for you to answer until they've offered you the job. When they've offered you the job, then you can negotiate, and you can say, well, based on these skills that I have, I see myself fitting right about here with the salary range. And so there's actually a really good lynda.com video about salary negotiating. And you have to get to you can use lynda.com for free at the Harold B. Lee Library. So if you Google BYULynda.com, it gives instructions on how to access where in the library to go. But they have a really great video on salary negotiation. I was going to do something else for you. What was it? I said, remind me to.
Can you say the sandwich answer again?
Okay. So you could say something like, so as I mentioned, or if you haven't mentioned already, I work really, really well under pressure, but there's a side effect to that. And it's that if there's something I really don't want to do, it's easy for me to put it off because I don't want to do it. That hasn't really affected me personally because I'm very efficient and able to get things done. And I still meet my deadlines. But when I've worked with other people, I've realized that I can't be putting things off. And so what I've done with my group activities is I make sure that's still a high priority, even if I don't want to do it. And if it's really tedious, then I'll schedule in, a half hour every day that I have to work on it for a little bit so that I don't put it off. And then when it comes time for the deadline, I'm that much more prepared and I can work really well and get it done and meet the needs of my coworkers. Does that make sense?
Cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
now make sure what you say is true. I'm giving you an example. If you're not scheduling 30 minutes a day to get something done, then don't say it because it's not true. Okay?
Okay.